creating wealth, freedom, and security using real estate investing. This is Get Real Wealthy. Today we're going to talk about appraisals and the appraisal process for real estate investing. Appraisals are really important, and this is when you get paid as a real estate investor. Not a lot of people understand that. Yes, you can get paid when you're buying a property and you buy it well at a good price. Maybe there's a little bit of equity in it. That's awesome. But when you are refinancing a property, that's when you'll probably pull in a lot of funds, and you're going to be able to use those funds either to reinvest in other projects or to be able to use those funds for something else. Maybe you're investing in stocks or in cryptocurrency or whatever it is. So appraisals are really important. It's when you get paid. So understanding and being able to understand how it works is important. So let's talk about the three different ways that you can come up with appraisals, or how appraisals are figured out. So we have a comparative market analysis approach. And that approach is the typical approach you see for residential units between 1 and 4 units. And that's based on the house that sold across the street. You bought a house for $900,000. The house across the street just sold for $1 million. It has the same number of bedrooms, same kind of condition, same square footage. So you can assume, based on the comparative market analysis, that your property that you bought for $900,000 is worth now closer to $1 million. And when you can do that with 2 or 3 other properties on the same street, that is a comparison between numerous properties and in that particular market, in that street, and that gives you that increased value. So that is a comparative market approach that's typical for 1 to 4 unit properties. Then we have what's called an income approach. And the income approach is usually what you use for rental properties. That can be a little bit of the 1 to 4 unit property space, maybe like the 2 to 4 unit property space, but usually you see this in apartment buildings. Often you have the net operating income that comes from apartment buildings. That income that comes from it, that's how you determine the value, because the value, you divide the net operating income by the cap rate, or the capitalization rate of an area, and that gives you the value of a property. So for example, if the net operating income was $100,000 and then we had a cap rate of 4 for that particular area, we could do $100,000 divided by 0.04, and that would give me the value of that property. Now, if I was doing an appraisal and I was doing the income approach, I would do that for multiple similar buildings in the area so that I could say that this is what the value of that particular building is. So that is called the income approach. You see that in commercial properties all the time. The third approach is a little bit different, and it's often called the replacement value, or what it would cost to rebuild something. Often you see this when you're doing some sort of a building and you're trying to finance that building that doesn't exist yet. Maybe you're taking, we're doing an office conversion where it's actually retail at the first floor, and then 2 floors it was office and then residential. The office we're converting to residential now. So that would, when you're doing an appraisal of that, you're probably looking at a little bit of replacement cost in order to get it to that residential units on the 2nd floor and then on the 3rd floor. So that is a little bit different, and it's not often used. Typically it's a competitive market analysis, or comparative market analysis, or the income approach, or a replacement cost. So those are the 3 ways that it really makes sense with how you are able to come up with values. Now, I have a little mini course for members on getting a higher appraisal, which is available on educationrei.ca, so you can take a look at that. Some of the things that we do to help to push up appraisal values is we actually prepare for the appraisal. So as a homeowner or as an investor, what we do is we actually prepare a package for the appraiser to give to them with our own market analysis. So we actually provide them 2 or 3 comps. We provide a letter of what we've actually done to the property to improve it. So for example, like if I put in new wiring, or I changed the voltage or the wattage coming into the building from, let's say, 100 to 200. The person who's inspecting the property and doing the appraisal might not necessarily know that that's what we did. So we provide an overview and explain that to them. And that's a strategy so that they can see, look at all the money that we invested in this property, plus the comparative analysis of what the value of the property is. And we'll often tell them, this is what I think that this property is worth. Oftentimes I'll put that value like maybe 50 or 100K higher than I think I'm gonna get. And why? Because I know I'm gonna get a lower value. The appraiser's gonna feel like they're conservative with the value, but I'm gonna get a higher value in the end. Works all the time. So that's one of the strategies in that mini course you can have a look at. But this refinancing process, this is when you get paid. In apartment buildings, how we do it all the time from the net operating income approach is we ladder. So for example, this year we're refinancing 3 apartment buildings. So each time we refinance the apartment building, we're going to get back, $500 or $1 million. We're going to pay back our investors what they invested in, and the amount that's left over, we're going to split amongst the investors and myself as a partner. So if you have a number of refinances and a number of appraisals that are coming in every year, and you do that, like, so we have 3 this year, we'll have let's say 5 next year, the year after that we'll probably have 10. So all of those help to recapture funds that you can reinvest in other projects, or you can do other investing with. Anyways, now you know appraisals are really important. This is when you get paid. Take them seriously, and we'll see you on the next episode. Make sure that if you're interested in learning more about this or about real estate investing, you go to quintindesouza.com and book a 15-minute discovery call. Have a good one.
Make sure to check out getrealwealthy.com. Until next time, I'm Quentin D'Souza. Get out there and take action. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are provided for information purposes only and should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider any investment or course of action. For more information, go to getrealwealthy.com.